8. Motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Central Government, on the report of the Auditor General on government ministries for the year ended 30th June 2023.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm going to present Volume 2. To begin with, Right Honorable Speaker, let me lay on table the report of Volume 1 and Volume 2. Right Honorable Speaker, and then minutes of the meetings of both Volume 1 and Volume 2. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker, Volume 2. Volume 2 has the following ministries. It has the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. It has the Office of the Prime Minister. It has State House, Ministry of Gender and Social Development. It has Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It has the Directorate for Ethics and Integrity. It has Ministry of Information and National Guidance. It has Ministry of Local Government. That comprises of Volume 2. Volume 1, Right Honorable colleagues, we covered the rest of the ministries in Volume 1, and the report was presented yesterday. Right Honorable Speaker, I will straight and try to avoid issues that I generally tackled in the presentation of Volume 1. Right Honorable Speaker, I'll go to general observation on utilization of reports. That is on page 2. Right Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives got 552 billion was approved budget. It was warranted 487, and this table also has utilized and unutilized, and that is 97%. Office of the President, Office of the Prime Minister, 135, which you've been dealing with, disaster. It was warranted 144, which is 84% of the budget. It utilized 103. It had unutilized money. It even had unutilized money of 11 billion. State House had a budget of 869. It was warranted 835, which was 96%. It used 834. It had unutilized money of 1.2 billion. Ministry of ICT and National Guidance had 213.9 billion. It was warranted 169. That's a percentage of 78%. It utilized 166. It had unutilized money 2.3 billion, which was 98%. Ministry of Foreign Affairs had 51 billion. It was warranted 51 billion, 0.5, which was 99.3%. It utilized 50.1 and had unspent balance of annual unspent warrants of 1 billion. Procedure, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the principle of our parliamentary democracy design Parliament in a manner that when we are discussing a report of a government department or a sector, the minister responsible for the sector needs to be there. Then the technical bench needs to have the technical people so that they capture live. I know, Right Honorable Speaker, you have created the online parliament where some of these technical people claim that they are listening from their offices. But this creates weakness in terms of implementing the decision of parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, you may need to exercise your power within the rules and do the necessary. Thank you.
That's well noted, Honorable. Yeah, because you see, Honorable colleagues, what if someone uses it as a tactic to fail you? Because you have a time limit on these reports of the Auditor General. That's number one. Number two, most of the issues in the Auditor General's report are issues for accounting officers to handle. Then, number three, the minister will be required to bring a memorandum, a treasury memorandum here, which is action taken on the recommendations of the Auditor General and Parliament. So whichever way, they can't survive on this, whether they run, whether they hide. But it would be really important for them to be here. But since they are not here and we are time limited, and there is an acting leader of government business, he will take responsibility for everything. Yeah, let's resume in the interest of time. Yes, Honorable Dur. I hope you're supporting me on this. I'm lobbying you.
Mr. Speaker, I'm also here to persuade you. I want to draw your attention, Mr. Speaker, and the honorable colleagues, that this report that we are receiving has handled several aspects of the ministries, central government. And we have been grappling here with some questions on how the ministries are going to implement some of the pieces of legislation that we are faced with. The current one is about RAFEX, for example. So some of the ministries that we are receiving here are mentioned adversely, even issues of capacities are here, and they should be here to at least take off a little bit time to explain, so that it informs this house when we go to the bills. Maybe you would have had some answers. I don't think the house as it is constituted now, even in the presence of the acting leader of government business, may be able to deal with. We are likely to have a pile-up that I will convey this, we are going to come back, and then we prolong. So I just wanted to bring that aspect to your attention and to the attention of the
I know, honorable colleagues, by next week, all reports which we will have not processed shall be passed omnibus, so that the government can go to act on them. So the little window, the little time I have, I want us to use it effectively. The Attorney General is here. The Minister for Public Service, like on the issue you've raised, is here. He's the chief architect of RAPEX. So I think we are able to do work. And these are not our own views. These are coming from recommendations of the government Auditor General, you know, from a government official. This is not our original view. So let's, colleagues, let's save time. Yeah.
Right Honorable Speaker, I did not raise procedure to the effect that we should suspend, but you see, you approve these ministers. It's just proper that you, periodically, I know you may be doing it, you submit a report to the President of inefficiency of some of these ministers. Thank you.
The ministers know how we have approached that issue of their presence here. They know really we have taken it a notch higher. Yeah, they know we've taken it a notch higher. Let's move on, Honorable Kivumbi.
Right Honorable Speaker, I stopped on the Ministry of Gender and Social Development. It had a budget of 200. By this table you can read. Right, yes. Honorable Speaker.
Sure, so that we save time for debate.
I can go to just the total. A total of 2,203 billion was availed to the entity. There was unspent balance, money that you did not spend, of 1,900,000,000, which remained unspent. Right, honorable colleagues. I can read out of the total approved budget of 203 billion. For the above 80 ministries, a total of 2 billion 554 billion, that is 93%, was warranted, out of which 1 billion 9. Is that figure correct? That figure is not correct. It is correct. 1 billion 907. It's 1 trillion. It can't be 1 trillion out of 2. That figure is not correct. Yes.
I hope your clerk should be checking. He will.
Yeah, I'll come back to that
guide
figure.
you.
There was notable poor budget absorption represented by unutilized warrants, especially by Ministry of Local Government, which was 24%, Office of the Prime Minister, 10%, Ministry of Gender, 8.4%, as represented above. The main reason advance for, especially for wage budget, was government stoppage of recruitment pending rationalization of government agencies. The committee noted that some of the warrants that were not utilized were made for activities that were either partially implemented or not implemented at all. The committee observed that under absorption of funds does not only distort budget implementation but also deprives other deserving agencies. Our recommendations are the same as we recommended in Volume 1. Implementation of output, honorable colleagues, apart from specifics, it's the same way that I presented in Volume 1. The table as is was the same table as in Volume 2. You can read the same issues are the same. On page 6, the committee notes that it was only State House that had all outputs fully implemented, whereas majority of the entities had composition of fully yes.
Presidential Affairs, former chair.
Former chair of Presidential Affairs, yes. I can repeat for your clarity. The committee notes that it was only State House that had all outputs fully implemented, whereas majority of the entities had composition of fully implemented outputs, partial and some outputs not implemented at all, as per the table above. Among the notable entities that had partial implemented outputs were Ministry of Trade, Industry and Corporate, ICT, that is Ministry of ICT, Ministry of Gender and Social Development. The above entities had partially implemented outputs and activities despite receiving the requisite funds, which indicate diversion of funds to implement unapproved activities. Section 10.1 of the Treasury Instruction, that one I read, stipulates that in a reviewing payment request, an accounting officer shall have a primary responsibility of ensuring that there is no mischarge and diversion of funds through wrong coding of transaction. Percentage of assessed samples by the Auditor General I dealt with in Volume 1. Just take a note of the percentage that, for example, Office of the Prime Minister had the percentage, they are there in Table 1, but notable is Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which was assessed at 5%. Yes, where we have our missions, was assessed at 5%. And Ministry of Local Government, which was assessed at slightly 50%. The rest of other ministries, the percentages were fine, 92, 87, and except for Ministry of Trade, which I will later on speak to briefly, because the report of the Ministry of Trade is that the same as it was in the earlier report that the ministry, the parliament recommended to CID and further actions by government. The findings don't in any material form. Yeah, it is zero. For the problem is that most of the monies assessed were in subventions. For the core ministry, it was not assessed properly, because they said files, Honorable Attorney General, some are for investigations and had not yet been received back. Right, Honorable colleagues, the rest are for specific ministries, and I mention that I feel I've already spoken about the Ministry of Trade Industry. The findings of the committee are the same as the findings in the Ministry of Trade investigation led by Honorable Chair then Mwine Mkapa. And our Mwine Mpaka, our recommendations are the same. Ministry of, the next ministry is Ministry of, the next ministry is the Office of the Prime Minister. The Office of the Prime Minister, during the financial year, they entered a budget of 135 billion, of which 144 was warrant, as earlier noted. There's nothing, utilization of warrants. The entity was availed 144 during the financial year, out of which 103 was utilized, resulting in utilized warrants of 11 billion, representing 90% utilization. This entity of the performance of non-tax revenue, you can read, nothing much, did not have so much revenue. Implementation of affirmative action, right, honorable colleagues, you can read that paragraph, a follow-up procurement and distribution of goods and iron sheets in Karamoja. Right, honorable colleagues, you can, lot of interest in this table on page 25. You can look at how money was used that was meant for, if you look at this, let me read it. The Auditor General reported that during the financial year 2002, OPM received supplementary funding of 39 billion for procurement and distribution of goods and iron sheets for Karamoja region. Out of the 39 billion, accountabilities for entities worth 6 billion were with the IGG at the time of follow-up audit and were therefore not verified as indicated below. This money is with the auditor with IGG. The committee observed that at the time of interacting with the accounting officer, the IGG had not concluded the investigation. Verification of the accountability worth 6 billion. The committee further observed that the IGG has held on the documents for 2 financial years, 2021, 22, 23, making it difficult for the Auditor General to complete the audit, which is unreasonable delay on part of the IGG. The unreasonable delay is therefore detrimental to the speedy conclusion of the investigation. Review of procurement and distribution of goods. Auditor General undertook an audit of procurement and distribution of goods for Karamoja region for the financial year 2021-22, 2023-24, totaling 25 billion, 0.38, as revealed as the following. Now, as revealed the following issues. 1. Failure to utilize funds released in the financial 22-23. Audit noted that the OPM failed to utilize funds amounting to 1.155 billion meant to procure goods for Karamoja region during the financial year. And as such, these warrants remained unutilized by the end of the year. The accounting officer explained that the underutilization of the 1.1 billion for the procurement of goods was affected by investigation, subsequent arrest, and interdiction of key staff under the Department of Karamoja Affairs. The committee observed that under-absorption of funds not only distort budget implementation, but also denies services to deserving beneficiaries. failure to distribute the required number of goats to each beneficiary. The Auditor General noted that according to the management plan, each beneficiary was supposed to receive 16 goats, that is 10 East African female, 5 Gala, and 1 male Boer back to fasten the multiplication of numbers. However, a review of the distribution list of beneficiaries indicated some beneficiaries got less than the required numbers, with others receiving as low as 1 goat. Audit further noted that the delivery and distribution of the goats was not coordinated, and suppliers made deliveries on different dates and months, which could have led to the failure to distribute the required number of goats to each beneficiary. The accounting officer explained that the guidelines for distribution of goats were issued to the beneficial districts. However, during the implementation of the exercise, the district committees diverted from the guidelines and decided to spread the animals so that many households would benefit. The committee observed that the intended objective of the program of the procurement and distribution was not fully met, and the by the accounting officer in providing effective coordination of guidelines and monitoring of implementation of the activity despite facilitation being provided. We recommend that 1, the Office of the Prime Minister should desist from implementation of programs and projects and restrict itself to its core mandate. Line ministries should be left to do the implementation. Secondly, OPM should prioritize this intervention within its budget in the subsequent financial year to procure more goats for the beneficiaries who got less or those that missed out. The accounting officer should be investigated by police and IGG for failure in this project implementation. The committee recommends that going forward, the accounting officer should strengthen follow-up and monitoring and evaluation of the implementation of future intervention. Variation between quantity procured and quantity distributed.
5 minutes, Chair.
You can read that. The audit noted that the ministry procured 70,900 votes, 73,900 goats, worth 25 billion for Karamoja region through framework contracts using 52 companies. However, review of the distribution list provided that out of the, you can read that, and our conclusion on that, on the OPM, because I want to go through other ministries, results of inspection of the goats for Karamoja, distribution of iron sheets, you can read, and other entities and other things for Karamoja. The report is big on Office of the Prime Minister. State House.
IT, can you leave on the mic for the chairperson, because we keep interrupting him.
State House, as I've said, you can read the details of State House. Because I'm interested in this, in the 2 other ministries that have issues. These reports were uploaded, and you are supposed to have read them. Failure to utilize timely recovery.
Honorable colleagues, you see, we shall not read from the submission of the chairperson. Usually what we do, we get a summary because these reports are so big, and then the clerk captures the whole report on the hand.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you have the report. But let me speak to the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. Honorable colleagues, because there is a keen interest. The Attorney General is here. In the Ministry of ICT, we interacted. Yesterday you had pensioners. We interacted with a case in the Ministry of ICT where the Attorney General failed to appeal a case where pensioners are going to lose 68 billion to a law firm that took 20% of every money that was paid for pensioners. we will have taxed the Attorney General to explain why, for heaven's sake, such a judgment by Matov, who has been in prison, by the way, for dubious cases, is the same law firm that took 68 billion of the pension of pensioners' money, and this was not appealed. And the minister was simply instructed to pay. So we want the Attorney General to explain his failure to appeal that case.
And when was that case?
In the report is there. The dates is there. When it's actually the full amount has not been paid, but the ministry was instructed to pay that legal firm that amount of money. So we want to know. The other issue that we wanted the ministry to know was in the Ministry of Agriculture, honorable colleagues. We want a full debate of the Ministry of Agriculture. It's at the core service delivery, but its failures across board on all parameters we audited are alarming. Right, Honorable Speaker, if it pleases you, I would beg you kindly to allocate some good time to debate the report of the Committee of Agriculture. Because, Right Honorable Speaker, I would beg you to find adequate time, even this debate, to debate the Ministry of Agriculture report. Because from tractors to goats to drugs to everything, it is scoring very negatively. And that's where 70% of our people are. We want to debate adequately the report of the Ministry of Agriculture. I beg your indulgence. It was presented yesterday. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you,
Right
Chairman.
Honorable Speaker, the same conclusions are the same.
Yeah, sure.
That those entities that scored, that's why I've been very brief, those entities that were audited below 30%, we have ordered for audit by the Auditor General, because that sample is too small to inform an opinion on those reports. And literally, we have rejected the portions that were not audited. And all accounting officers who diverted money and caused other negative expenditures will have recommendations for government to take action. I beg to move.
Thank you, Chair, and well done with your committee. Attorney General, you wanted to clarify on that issue before we go any further and others expound on it?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, the history of this matter is that Matovo and Matovo represented the claimants for their pension pay. When the pension was ordered to be paid, Matovo and Matovo claimed that they had an agreement for the payment of remuneration of their fees. The dispute on remuneration of the fees has nothing to do with the Attorney General. We do not represent either Matovo, nor do we represent the claimants. When the money was in Ministry of ICT, we could not instruct the Ministry of ICT to pay the money to anyone other than the judgment debtor, who was the claimant. Matovo and Matovo went to court and sought an order for government to pay that money to them. The order was made in an interim application, which is not appealable as of right. We are still waiting to hear the main application between us and Matovo. So it is not that we refuse to appeal. We did not have a right of appeal. Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, this is a dispute between Matovo and his clients. And we have said to everyone who cares to listen that government should be left out of that dispute, because we did not enter the agreement with Matovo, nor are we the debt collectors for the lawyer or the client. So it's not that we just failed to appeal. We do not have a right of appeal, but I know that the claimants are having their issue with their lawyer. So it has nothing to do with government. It's between the claimants and their lawyer.
Thank you. Now, Because you see, why I brought that issue, why I called on the Attorney General. I have been following some of the people who are not happy with the Attorney General. Those accusing him of blocking government money being paid through lawyers. It's one of the accusations is some lawyers even fighting him badly. We know. And they've been open. And it seems it's been a very good harvesting ground for lawyers, whereby they go, they crime, either public interest or group. Honorable Kiror?
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with my learned Attorney General. Clearly that's a legal position. Matters between advocate and client, government would be a third party of no particular interest. But again, as to whether money should be paid to a law firm, that's why when we are practicing advocates, there are two accounts. There's a client's account and the one for the firm. It is professional. But the disagreement, this is on a case-by-case basis. The relationship between an advocate and a client, sometimes, yes, we cannot rule out the fact that some advocates have not been living according to the oath. You get it? That's just a fact. But we cannot make a blanket statement that ordinarily, because of a one rotten tomato, it's the case for all the legal practitioners. No, it's not the case. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to put a disclaimer that in the whole legal fraternity, there are also very good advocates.
Of course there are.
Absolutely.
And you're one of them.
Absolutely, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Dur.
Mr. Speaker, on this specific issue, I wanted to get clarification from the chair first. The report that he is processing arises out of an audit done by the Auditor General. So the Auditor General must have questioned something around that. Listening to the submission of the learned Attorney General, distancing himself from that. What is the particular query, the original query that the auditor found, on whose basis now the committee processed, and what is the recommendation to that effect, so that we can probably debate from.
And it couldn't be addressed at the exit meeting
yes.
with the Auditor General.
Sure.
Is this one of the issues which was raised?
Right Honorable Speaker, for all government agencies, during this audit year, a special audit was done on the payroll as a stand-on, a very elaborate audit. Now, for the ICT, we found out that for ICT's budget, the entire almost 80% is towards payment for compensation. And while processing that, while the auditor noted that the entire almost budget of ICT was for compensation, an issue was raised because on the escathe,
raised by who?
By the Auditor General, and says, but the amount to be paid to the legal firm, which was 20% of the total sum, was obnoxious. And that's when it was drawn to the attention of the committee. And on investigation, we found the following. One, that whereas the accounting officer was resisting to pay, the Attorney General and other officers were saying, please, he needed the clearance of his office to go ahead and pay. Then that's when we asked the Attorney General for this judgment of this amount of money. Before even the case is disposed of, you are instructing the accounting officer to go ahead and pay. He sought the opinion of the Attorney General. And the Attorney General cleared, please go ahead and pay.
The Attorney General did not clear payment. The order came from court. The Attorney General cannot sit and set aside a judgment of the court. So if the court has ordered that the money be paid, the Attorney General cannot instruct otherwise. And if you looked at my letter clearly, it stated this is not an instruction of the Attorney General, because I choose my words very carefully. This is not the instruction of the Attorney General. It's an order of the court. So the issue of the appeal is not an appeal as of right at this point.
Yeah, because you see, Honorable Kivumbi, I don't want us to have a record here indicting the Attorney General who was implementing a court order.
Yeah.
And we are saying, don't implement a court order. And as told you, he had no right of appeal as per that order.
You see, honorable colleagues, I don't know whether the country we are informed. When we read the report next week on consolidated accounts, where we are establishing the total sums of money that is getting out through mandamas. Is it mandamas? Okay? Through mandamas of these judgments. And that Attorney General seems to be like, well, when there's a court order, we are handicapped. All we do, please pay. And we are losing billions of money at the country. The case in point is this one. And the Attorney General simply says, no, my hands are off. We lost these peasants, poor people who have worked, are losing bloody money. And you're simply saying, my hands are off.
Yeah. Now, honorable colleagues, honorable colleagues, the committee is saying they are choosing the Attorney General for not appealing. The Attorney General is saying, I did not have a right of appeal. Okay? Now, if the committee had said, maybe Attorney General make an application to set the court order aside, and also vacating it is also appealing. More or less, he couldn't. So, no, I just wanted us first sort out these matters of the law. Okay? Yes. So auditors and accountants, please, faster. So I want us to be fair. You see, when we start putting here reports indicting colleagues, and they be challenged. Okay, they remain on record, and our reports are challenged and put aside. Okay, no, that does not apply. Here, the committee has not talked of double standards. We are talking about clear recommendation. Yes, no, the committee. Okay, that's another issue you can bring in your debate. But here we are talking about the recommendation. The committee is saying the Attorney General was wrong not to appeal. The Attorney General is saying, I did not have a right of appeal. Honorable Kam.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, where an order is issued and there is no automatic right of appeal, it is up to the party to peruse through the case. If the party thinks that there are no really appealable grounds, it cannot be a matter of appealing any order that court makes. And it will be making a wrong precedent that the Attorney General must appeal each and every judgment. So I think it should be a case by case, in my opinion. Thank you.
I want to sincerely, colleagues, there's something we should get very clear. If you attend law school, there's one fundamental issue you can be told about appeals, that an appeal is a creature of statute. That right is not created in the air. If a specific legislation has not given you that right of appeal, you cannot assume it. It's very restrictive. So if Attorney General even attempted to appeal, it would even cost government a lot of money, because they will say you don't have this right. But you see, the injustice that I understand from the report is an injustice that has been created between the two parties. And when you look at the Attorney General comes in as a third party without a direct claim. So what we should be looking at is that what Attorney General would have guided on the appropriate remedy, but it is the respective parties to the case who are supposed to take the next step to redeem themselves from an injustice, but not a third party. For us to think that Attorney General in this particular case should be the one to take out that, absolutely it will be a challenge. So once an order of court has been given.
Now, one clarification. Right, Honorable Speaker, we want you to tell us. The Attorney General is talking about interim order. Interim has a meaning. Interim. Talk about that. Interim. That when it's an interim order, you cannot do anything about it. Do we now have the final order of court? Or when are we having the right to appeal? Even when we are not lawyers, we know. So, please, speak to this issue. Yes. Talk about interim. When does it expire? So when do we come on board? That's what I want you to talk about.
Thank you so much.
Right Honorable Speaker,
Just
Parliament
colleagues,
and the government of Uganda cannot come in. This is a dispute between a lawyer and his client. You will be called a mere busybody getting involved in matters that don't concern you.
Thank you.
This is a dispute between a lawyer and his client.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, let me just make it very easy. Let me make it very easy. This matter was not captured in the report of the committee. These were additional explanatory notes by the chairperson of the committee. Okay? If you check on page 69, 111.3.2. So these were additional statements of the chairperson. These were not recommendations of the committee. And because of that, since we all, and the Attorney General has explained and all that, I think everything to do with the submission around that matter, I hereby direct it's expunged as per Rule 229 of the Rules of Procedure. Honorable Jonathan, you had a procedure matter?
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for your wise ruling. On the basis of that, I wanted to make an appeal. I have been one person who insists that where there is a written statement or a report, it must be read verbatim. Going forward, I would implore you, because we would not be in this situation. I really struggled to look through the report. That's why I was asking. There was nothing like that. The law firm was not mentioned. So if it pleases you, even if we are squeezed by time, when there is a report or a statement, the person reading must confine himself or herself. Because this is a report of a committee. If I'm representing a committee, then I bring in something that the committee has not signed. No, I'm just giving us an example going forward.
I smuggled in things. First of all, when I read page 69, long, and I'll read verbatim, long outstanding pension areas. It was established that the ministry recognized pension areas worth a 206 billion.571 relating to former employees of Uganda Posts and Telecommunications Company and its successor companies. The areas are long outstanding delayed settlement of pension areas negatively affects the livelihood of the beneficiaries as they may fail to access the basic necessities. Some of the beneficiaries may die before accessing their benefits. The accounting officer indicated that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development had committed to pay the areas in a phased manner over a period of 3 years, and out of a balance of 206.5 billion, 51 billion had been released in the current financial year 2023. The committee was concerned that a law firm was purportedly engaged by the pensioners to pursue their payment from government for a 20% fee equivalent to 68 out of 206 billion of the outstanding amount, which represents a desperate situation for pensioners. So it's not that the 68 billion I conjured it out of my own imagination. It's part. No. It's part of the figure. It's part of it. The only thing I asked that was not written is that this one, the Attorney General, being present in our interaction, we realized that it was this an appealable case where you needed to appeal to save money for pensioners.
Thank you. Honorable colleagues, I already ruled on the matter that anything to do with that, but I take note of Honorable Jonathan Odu's point. But Honorable colleagues, you see, you receive a page of over 100, a report of over 100 pages. So what we usually do, when we say summarize, okay, on the Hansard we capture the full report. On the Hansard, because you see, this Hansard is going to be used for research. It's a record of government, of parliament that will live over time. So on the Hansard we capture the full report. I think maybe after the chairperson has given a summary, we should always just capture the whole report verbatim for purposes of the Hansard. Okay? Which would, I don't know whether that would make our work better, but another thing we've been doing, Jonathan and colleagues, we have been asking chairpersons to give an executive summary, okay? So that then the full report is captured alongside the executive summary, which is also written, which should also be written, and that is signed by the chair. Okay? Yeah, but now the problem is issues beyond.
Honorable Speaker, I think it also poses a challenge, because now if we are capturing the executive summary, then there is also a full report. I think we are giving the Hansard people some bit of difficulty. I know there are sometimes challenges of time. For me, I would really appeal. We have this time here. I think we should always be like we used to do in the previous parliament. Whether we go up to midnight, let the full report be read and captured fully, because it's not only just for us here. Even outside there are people who want to listen to this. So I have been having a problem analyzing these things. You say summarize, jump here. Why? Now you can see where we are ending. I think it's something that we need to reconsider, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yeah, but Honorable Cooper, another thing, it had created laziness. MPs don't want to read. They want to sit here. Even when I tell you in advance that we have around 200-page report, people wait. When the chairman is reading is when they put out their pen. Okay? Instead of reading early, and some read, but others, some read, others don't want to read. And when you say, no, now we do summary, you see those ones who are not ready to read, they wait from the submissions and the build point. But what is very important, Honorable, colleagues, is the actual report of the committee being captured on the Hansard. Yes. The actual report of the committee. The chairperson should not go beyond the actual report of the committee. Yes. Whether it means you marking areas you're going to read out. Yes. Okay?
Chairperson, I know there are those who are lazy. Just like you have seen the house.
Honorable Cooper, we shall not manage.
These are the serious people who are in the house. Those who are lazy have left.
Honorable Cooper, you need to go back and you look. If we are to handle these reports, I have been here waiting up to 8 p.m. We have these technical people. They have children. They have families. But also the presiding officer here. You guys can have, honorable colleagues, for you, you can have an opportunity to go out. You stretch your arms, you stretch your legs. Okay? I have to sit down here and, but also, honorable members, we are a parliament of how many people? I can tell you, in evenings, I usually don't have more than 40 members. Okay? Yes, I have the list here the other day, those who are here. And they are the ones I'm going to give priority when we are debating. But anyway, we've concluded on this. Jonathan, we've concluded on it. Let's ensure that what is in the report is what is read. I think that's what you wanted, mainly. Thank you. No, we've finished, honorable colleagues. So I open up debate and I start with Honorable Geoffrey Nzima. When you stand up, you first try to understand whether you were here yesterday. So you check. Yes, Honorable Geoffrey Nzima.
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
And
Speaker.
Honorable Azar.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I just want to comment on two issues, and these issues have appeared on the both reports. Yesterday, when the chairperson was raising...
And please, we shall be doing the 3 items we agreed with the chairman earlier on. I'm trying to ensure that we don't pass these things omnibus before. At least we have a chance. Yes, so we are discussing, you're free to comment on item 6, 7, and 8.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to comment on 2 issues. Issue number 1 is related to spending of warrants. When you heard the chairperson yesterday reading his report, in most of these ministries, you find that the warrants are not being spent to date. In other words, what is available for the ministries to spend, they cannot absorb it. That's the implication. The challenge is late releases. When you go to local governments and also look at their reports, you find the same issue is also faced by the local governments. But when you interact with them and say what is the problem, they will tell you that sometimes Ministry of Finance releases monies towards the end of the financial year. And there are cases where if their project money is meant for projects, it requires some bit of time for award of contracts and the rest, the procurement process to take place. So I think mine is just an appeal that it doesn't make any sense to release money towards the end of the financial year and then these monies are swept back because this affects service delivery. That's one. Then 2, the issue of corruption in Ministry of, in Prime Minister's office, particularly in the implementation of projects and also award of maybe things like animals and the rest has always been mentioned here. But Mr. Speaker, I always wonder why some of these issues should wait for audit report. Because we have a full-fledged commissioner in charge of monitoring and evaluation of government programs. And we expected that when these services are implemented, there should have been carrying of monitoring and evaluation, and this monitoring and evaluation reports should have been given to the various ministries. But at the end of the day, most times we find that we have a lot of challenges. We only come to realize that these issues are raised by Auditor General's office. Thirdly, mine is also a concern. When you look at these goats we are talking about being given to the people of Karamoja, these were goats given to people who lost cows. The actual problem was related to cows. But then the compensation decided to take form of goats. In my own opinion, if we were supposed to be fair to the people of Karamoja, they lost the cows, then they should have been given cows. I don't know how the goats came in. So that's my observation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Azar.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I'd like to thank the chairperson of the committee for the report about justice, law and order sector. Mr. Speaker, I would like to comment about issues related to judiciary and the police. The Northwestern region comprises of the districts of Moyo, Adjumani, Obongi, and Yumbe. And that's why we have regional police commanders, regional brigade commanders for the army, and so on. Mr. Speaker, when we come to the report about the concession of the Magistrates Court, the Auditor General noted that the contractor failed to meet the November 2023 deadline for the concession of the Chief Magistrates Court at Alebitong. Similarly, there was that issue about Patong also. where the Auditor General noted that the construction of Chief Magistrate's Court at Patongo had an end date of 31st May 2023, which was extended to 30th September 2023. So this goes on to show that really things are not moving on well, and money is not being properly utilized for the construction of these courts. Mr. Speaker, when we come to our area in West Nile or in the Northwestern region, Obongi district is having issues. They don't have the magistrates' courts. And instead they go up to Arua, at times up to Adjumani, and it's long, over 70 kilometers. They have issues there. Secondly, also the same region does not have what you call the high court circuit. What high court circuits, and if we want to go for high court facilities, we have to go to Gulu or Arua, where you have accommodation issues, feeding issues, and so on. So my people have told me to come and talk about this so that we can have a high court circuit constructed in Moyo district. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, we have a colonial police barracks in the center of Moyo town, which is congested, squeezed, and dilapidated. There's need for police patrol cars along the border with Sudan in order to ensure security for the people along the border and the refugees for peace. Justice, law, and order sectors should be provided with adequate resources and logistics for efficient and timely management of cases. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, allow me to guide. We are handling an accountability committee report, not a sector committee report. And these reports, usually, our focus is not on observation, because observations are general and they overlap to sector committee reports. Let us focus on recommendations of the committee, because they are the ones government is going to act upon, not observations. Otherwise now, honorable colleagues, you're going to ask for hospitals, you're going to register that you don't have schools, which is understandable and fair, but then the spirit of accountability that we are trying to achieve through this report. The Auditor General will not respond to those during the Treasury Memoranda. He will not. He will only respond to recommendations of the committee. And I urge us that we focus on that. Okay? Yes, I'm still here, then I'll come this side. Honorable Gilbert is here. I was waiting for Honorable Gilbert Oranya to come, because he was a crack the other day for this side. Yes, I'm checking. Those who want to speak? Yes. So I have Honorable Paparu Aurelian. She was here. I have Honorable Akiki. She was here. I have Honorable Museveni was here. I have Honorable Temuzigu was here. I have Honorable Ababiku was here. Yes. And Honorable Rauben today gave you space. Let me first give the rest. And Honorable Maureen. Please. The wife mentioned you. No, the ones I haven't given space today are the ones I'm first giving before I got others.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I also want to thank the committee for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, in the committee report, they reported that about 24 billion was returned.
Which report, Honorable? We have 3 reports.
That is on the judiciary.
Okay.
Yeah, about 24 billion was returned, and yet this was money to enhance salaries for staffs in judiciary. Right Honorable Speaker, we have delays in the management of cases in the courts of law. The most closest court is the magistrate court, where the report indicates that only 40% of these courts, the magistrate court, are connected to internet. It is also reported here that all the cases here are registered manually. Right Honorable Speaker, these are areas where at times we find the clients lose files and it drags their cases. And these cases are not concluded on time and it leads to backlog. Right Honorable Speaker, my concern is that if money is available, we know we are battling with the resources. But when the little is there and it is not spent, and our people keep suffering on how to manage these cases, these are the issues that make people not to report some of the injustices because they see that they cannot easily get the justice that they are seeking for. Right Honorable Speaker, they also reported that the magistrate courts, the magistrates are not facilitated or equipped with the vehicles. Right Honorable Speaker, we know that our people suffer when they report cases. At times the police and those who are investigating ask for money for transport from our people. These are the cases which we could have handled if the magistrate court and the police are supported with transport so that the people don't end up suffering and we increase corruption in the process of managing the cases that are reported. Thank you.
Thank you. I mentioned you, honorable colleagues, we were following each other. No, honorable Amos, you are not part. Honorable Kik. Timozigu, you can be speaking as a Kik gets space here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Yes, as you. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Concerning the report about the performance of ministries, the committee indicates that the percentages captured for audit were wanting. Some were less than 10%, some were less than 30%, and the Auditor General's office is the apex of accountability in this country. If they reach that point of capturing just 10% or less, and they think they have reported the issues concerning finance in this country, it means they are not serious. So, Mr. Speaker, I propose that this Parliament makes it clear and informs the Office of the Auditor General that we are not satisfied and they should be serious with their mandate because no any other entity in this country has got the same mandate. The second issue is about their failure to get keen on value for money. Where they captured